Mom, did you enjoy the lake house I bought for you? My son smiled as he carved the Thanksgiving turkey. The entire dining room smelled like rosemary, butter, and cinnamon candles. His wife, Vanessa, sat beside him wearing a cream-colored sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My grandkids laughed near the fireplace while football played softly on the giant television mounted above the stone mantel. For a moment, everyone looked happy. Then I answered. What lake house? The knife stopped moving in my son's hand. Vanessa's smile disappeared so quickly it almost frightened me. I still remember the exact sound the grandfather clock made in the hallway after I said those words. One slow tick. Then another. Nobody spoke. My son blinked at me. The place in Wisconsin, he said carefully. The one I bought for you last spring. I stared at him across the long mahogany table. Last spring, I had been choosing between heart medication and groceries. Last spring, I was living alone in a one-bedroom apartment 30 miles outside Chicago, wrapping towels around my windows because the heating bill had gotten too high. And now my millionaire son was talking about a lake house. I think you're confused, I said quietly. Vanessa reached for her wine glass too quickly. Her hand trembled. No, my son said slowly. I wired the money myself. A strange feeling settled into my chest then. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder. Because suddenly, dozens of little memories began clicking together in my mind like puzzle pieces. Birthday gifts that never arrived. Cards that supposedly got lost in the mail. Phone calls my son never returned. The way Vanessa always answered questions for him. The way she always changed the subject whenever money came up. I looked at her carefully for the first time that evening. She wouldn't meet my eyes. And that was the moment I realized something terrible had been happening behind my back for years. I'm glad you're here with me today. Stay until the end, and tell me where you're watching from. I have a feeling this story is going to travel farther than I ever imagined. Because before that Thanksgiving dinner ended, I discovered the lake house was only the beginning. The rest of dinner passed in a strange silence. Not the peaceful kind families usually have after a long day together. This silence felt stiff. Careful. Like everyone at the table suddenly understood something important had gone wrong, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Vanessa recovered first. Oh, Margaret, she said with a small laugh, maybe you forgot. Ethan told us he surprised you with it months ago. Forgot. That word stayed with me. At 68 years old, people begin speaking to you differently. Softer. Slower. As if age quietly erases your ability to remember your own life. I folded my napkin carefully onto my lap. I would remember a lake house, I said. Across the table, my son forced a smile, but I could see confusion settling behind his eyes now. Real confusion. Not guilt. That was what unsettled me most. Because Ethan had always trusted Vanessa completely. She handled the finances. The schedules. The holiday planning. Even his emails sometimes. I used to think that was what modern marriages looked like. Now I wasn't so sure. Vanessa stood up suddenly and reached for the wine bottle. Who wants more? She asked too brightly. Nobody answered. Outside the enormous dining room windows, snow had started falling across the backyard. Soft white flakes drifted over the pool house and the stone patio lit with expensive lanterns. The kind of home my late husband would have admired quietly without ever saying so. Meanwhile, I still drove a 12-year-old Buick with a heater that only worked when it wanted to. The contrast suddenly made me feel tired. Not jealous. Just tired. I remembered the previous winter when my landlord raised the rent another $200. I had called Ethan that night but reached voicemail. Vanessa texted me the next morning instead. Ethan's been extremely busy lately. Busy. My son owned 3 luxury car dealerships in Illinois. He bought his daughter a horse the previous summer. He once spent $12,000 on a family ski trip to Aspen. And somehow, during all that time, I had been clipping grocery coupons in my tiny kitchen. I looked down at my hands resting beside the dinner plate. Thin skin. Wedding ring. Small burned scar near my thumb from 30 years ago. Suddenly, another memory surfaced. 3 months earlier, Vanessa had asked me to sign some insurance paperwork during brunch. She never let me read it for long. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now my stomach tightened. Because deep down, I was beginning to understand this wasn't about one missing gift. Something much larger had been carefully hidden from me. And for the first time in years, I started paying attention. I barely slept that night. The radiator in my apartment clanged every 20 minutes, and the wind pushed cold air through the old window frames. Around 2 in the morning, I got up and made myself a cup of instant coffee because I could already tell my mind wasn't going to let the Thanksgiving conversation go. I sat alone at my tiny kitchen table replaying every detail. Ethan's confusion had looked genuine. Vanessa's panic had not. That difference mattered. The next morning, I opened my banking app while eating half a piece of toast. My checking account balance sat just under $400 until my next Social Security deposit arrived. I stared at the number for a long time. Then I remembered something else. About a year earlier, Ethan had called me out of nowhere sounding excited. "Mom, I finally found the perfect place," he'd said. Quiet. Peaceful. Right on the water. At the time, I assumed he was talking about a vacation property for his family. Now I wondered if he had been talking about me all along. A cold feeling settled into my stomach. I opened my old filing cabinet near the hallway closet. Most of the folders inside contained ordinary things: utility bills, medical paperwork, tax returns from years ago. Nothing interesting. Then I found the insurance documents Vanessa had rushed me into signing at brunch. The memory came back clearly now. She had chosen a loud restaurant. Mimosas. Music. Constant distractions. "Just standard paperwork," she'd said casually while sliding the papers toward me. "Ethan's accountant needs updated signatures." I should have read everything carefully. But I trusted family. That's the dangerous thing about trust. You rarely notice it disappearing until something breaks. I adjusted my reading glasses and slowly turned the pages. Most of it looked normal. Then one sentence caught my attention. Property transfer authorization. I frowned. Property? What property? My pulse quickened slightly as I kept reading. Legal wording. Financial terminology. Several pages missing from the copy Vanessa had given me. Missing. I suddenly realized the final page wasn't there either. No signature page. No full document. Just fragments. And for the first time in years, I felt something stronger than sadness. I felt alert. Very alert. Outside, snow covered the parking lot behind my apartment building. A maintenance truck crawled slowly past the dumpsters while someone nearby struggled to start an old pickup truck in the cold. Meanwhile, somewhere out there, a lake house supposedly existed in my name. A lake house I had never seen. Never visited. Never signed for. I picked up my phone and stared at Ethan's contact photo. Then I slowly set it back down. No. Not yet. Before I spoke to my son again, I needed to know exactly what his wife had done. The following Monday, I took the train downtown. Chicago looked gray and frozen through the window. Snow clung to the sidewalks while people in heavy coats hurried past coffee shops carrying paper cups and briefcases. I used to love this city when my husband Walter was alive. We would come downtown every December to see the Christmas lights along Michigan Avenue. Back then, life felt solid. Predictable. Now I felt like a woman slowly discovering she had been living inside someone else's version of reality. I carried the folder from my apartment inside an old leather tote bag Walter bought me 20 years ago. The straps were worn now, but I still used it almost every day. The county records office sat inside a tall government building with marble floors and terrible fluorescent lighting. The young receptionist barely looked up when I approached the counter. "I need information about a property," I said quietly. She handed me a form. 20 minutes later, I sat waiting beneath a television mounted near the ceiling while people around me argued about permits and taxes. Somewhere nearby, a copier kept making the same sharp mechanical sound over and over. Finally, a clerk called my name. He looked to be around 30. Polite. Tired. "What's the address of the property?" he asked. "That's the problem," I admitted. "I don't know." He gave me a confused look. So I explained carefully. "The lake house. My son. Thanksgiving dinner. The missing paperwork." At first, he seemed skeptical. Then I mentioned Ethan's full name. Something changed in his expression. He typed for several seconds without speaking. Then his eyebrows lifted slightly. "Yes," he said slowly. "There is a property." My chest tightened. He turned the monitor slightly toward me. A beautiful lakefront home appeared on the screen. Large windows. Private dock. Pine trees surrounding the property. The kind of place people retire to after a lifetime of hard work. My son had bought it 14 months earlier. I stared at the purchase record silently. Then I saw another name attached to the file. Vanessa Carter. Not Ethan. Not mine. Vanessa. The clerk continued speaking, but his voice suddenly sounded far away. "She's listed as authorized manager for the property trust," he explained. "Looks like all communication was routed through her office address." Office address. Communication routed through her. I swallowed carefully. Every letter. Every document. Every notification. All of it had gone directly to my daughter-in-law. Not me. I thanked the clerk and slowly gathered my papers. My hands remained steady somehow, even though my thoughts were not. Outside the building, freezing winds swept through the street as people rushed past me without noticing. I stood there for a long moment staring at the traffic. Then another realization hit me. If Vanessa had hidden a lake house from me for over a year, what else had she been hiding? I didn't call Ethan after leaving the county office. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I went home and sat quietly in my apartment while the sun disappeared behind the neighboring buildings. The room turned dark slowly, but I never bothered turning on the lamp beside the couch. I just sat there thinking. People imagine. Betrayal feels explosive. Loud. Dramatic. It doesn't. Sometimes it arrives quietly. Piece by piece. Until one day you realize your entire life has been rearranged without your permission. Around 7 that evening, I opened Facebook for the first time in weeks. Vanessa posted constantly. Photos of ski trips. Wine tastings. Expensive restaurants. Pictures of my grandchildren wearing matching sweaters beside enormous Christmas trees. And beneath every photo, hundreds of comments describing what a beautiful family they were. I kept scrolling. Then I found it. A photograph from the previous summer. Ethan stood beside a lake holding a fishing rod while my grandson smiled next to him. Behind them sat the house. The lake house. My lake house. I recognized the stone fireplace from the county records photos immediately. My stomach dropped. The caption read, "Family weekend at the lake. Grateful for these memories." Family weekend. I stared at the screen for a very long time. Not once had they invited me. Not once had they mentioned it. Meanwhile, I had spent that same weekend alone in my apartment eating canned soup because the air conditioner had broken during a heat wave. I suddenly remembered calling Ethan that Saturday. Vanessa answered instead. "They're busy right now," she'd said quickly. Now I knew where they were. I continued scrolling deeper through her page. More photos appeared. Christmas by the lake. Fall bonfires. My granddaughter learning to kayak. Every image felt strangely painful, not because of the house itself, but because of what the pictures proved. They had built memories there without me. And somehow my son believed I already knew. That realization hurt more than anything else. Then another detail caught my attention. In several photos, Vanessa tagged the location using a custom name. V's Retreat. Not Mom's Lake House. Not Family Cabin. Her retreat. I leaned back slowly against the couch cushions. The room around me felt painfully quiet. Outside, snow tapped softly against the windows while a siren echoed somewhere far down the street. For years, I had blamed distance. Busy schedules. Modern life. But sitting there in the dark, staring at those smiling photographs, I finally understood something. This hadn't happened naturally. Someone had carefully placed me outside the family little by little. And Vanessa had been controlling the door the entire time. Then my phone suddenly buzzed. It was Ethan. And for the first time in my life, I let my son's call go to voicemail. Ethan called 3 more times that night. I watched his name light up my phone while the television played quietly in the background. Some late-night game show. Bright lights. Fake laughter. None of it really registered. By the 4th call, he finally left a voicemail. "Mom. I feel like something's wrong," he said carefully. "Vanessa told me there was probably confusion about the paperwork, but I don't know. Can you call me tomorrow?" Paperwork. Interesting choice of words. Not gift. Not house. Paperwork. I replayed the voicemail twice. Then I turned my phone face down on the coffee table and went to bed. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. My apartment was cold again. I wrapped myself in Walter's old flannel robe and stood by the kitchen window watching snowplows scrape the street below. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about bills. I was thinking about patterns. Little things that never made sense before. Like why Vanessa always insisted on hosting holidays at her house. Why family group messages somehow stopped including me. Why Ethan rarely answered directly anymore unless he was alone. And then another memory surfaced. About 6 months earlier, my granddaughter Sophie had called me by accident on video chat. She was only 9, sweet and talkative. "Grandma," she'd said excitedly. "Are you coming to the lake for Christmas?" Before I could answer, Vanessa appeared suddenly in the background. The call ended almost immediately. A few minutes later, I received a text. "Sorry. Sophie grabbed my phone by mistake, LOL." At the time, I believed her. Now I realized something else. The children thought I had chosen not to come. I sat down slowly at the kitchen table. That hurt more than the missing property. Much more. Because children trust the version of reality adults give them. If my grandchildren believed I stayed away willingly, then what exactly had they been told about me? Around 10 that morning, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Ethan. It was Claire. My younger sister. We hadn't spoken much lately beyond birthdays and Christmas cards, but she lived only 20 minutes away and occasionally saw Ethan's family at events I wasn't invited to anymore. Her text was short. "Margaret, I think we need to talk about Vanessa." My pulse slowed strangely. Not faster. Slower. Like some part of me had already been expecting this. I called her immediately. Claire answered on the second ring but didn't waste time with small talk. "Margaret," she said quietly, "there's something I should have told you a long time ago." I walked to the window again as snow drifted across the parking lot. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "I don't think the lake house is the only thing she hid from you." Claire came over an hour later carrying a paper bag of coffee and blueberry muffins from the bakery near her condo. Neither of us touched the food. She sat across from me at the kitchen table while snow continued falling outside my apartment window. For a while, she simply stared at her hands. That frightened me more than anything she could have said immediately. Claire had always been direct. Practical. The kind of woman who believed uncomfortable truths were still better than comfortable lies. Finally, she sighed. Margaret. I didn't know how bad it had gotten. My chest tightened slowly. What are you talking about? She hesitated. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. I probably should have shown you this months ago. She opened Facebook Messenger and slid the phone across the table toward me. It was a family group chat. One I had never seen before. My eyes moved slowly across the names. Ethan. Vanessa. Claire. Several cousins. Even Sophie's dance instructor somehow. Everyone was there except me. A strange numbness spread through my body as I scrolled upward through months of conversations. Holiday plans. Birthday dinners. Lake weekends. Photos. Inside jokes. Family updates. An entire version of my family had continued existing without me. Quietly. Comfortably. Like my absence had already become normal. I thought you left the chat yourself, Claire admitted softly. Vanessa told everyone social media stressed you out. I looked up sharply. What? She said you wanted privacy after Walter passed away. Walter. Even hearing my husband's name still hurt after 6 years. I kept scrolling silently. Then another message caught my attention. Vanessa had written it the previous spring. Please don't mention the lake house to Margaret yet. We want it to be a surprise once renovations are finished. Underneath were cheerful replies. Oh, how exciting. She's going to cry. So sweet of Ethan. I stared at the screen for several seconds without breathing. So Ethan really had planned it for me. He believed I knew all along. Claire watched my face carefully. Margaret, there's more. I set the phone down slowly. Apparently, every terrible sentence in life begins with those exact words. Claire folded her hands together nervously. A few months ago, Vanessa mentioned your retirement account at Easter brunch. I frowned immediately. My retirement account? She said you were having trouble managing your finances and Ethan might need to step in soon. Cold silence filled the room. I felt my heartbeat once behind my ribs. Then again. Slow. Heavy. Because I suddenly remembered those missing pages from the paperwork Vanessa made me sign. Property transfer authorization. Financial management language. Trust documents. My mouth went dry. She was preparing something, I whispered. Claire didn't answer directly. She didn't need to. Outside, a snowplow pushed dirty ice along the curb while the radiator hissed beside us. And sitting there in my tiny apartment, I realized the lake house had never been the real goal. It was only proof of how much control Vanessa already had over my life. After Claire left, I sat alone for nearly an hour without moving. The apartment felt smaller than usual. The ticking kitchen clock sounded louder. Even the hum from the refrigerator began to irritate me. I kept thinking about one sentence. Ethan might need to step in soon. Not help me. Step in. As if I were already becoming incapable of managing my own life. I suddenly remembered how often Vanessa mentioned my age lately. You shouldn't be driving in winter anymore. You get confused with paperwork sometimes. Let Ethan handle stressful things for you. At the time, I thought she was being caring. Now every sentence sounded different. Calculated. I walked to my bedroom closet and pulled down the old metal lockbox Walter used for important documents. Inside were years of records we had carefully saved together, insurance policies, military papers, retirement accounts, tax returns. Walter believed in keeping copies of everything. For the first time in years, I silently thanked him for that. I carried the box back to the kitchen table and began sorting through the folders one by one. Then I found another envelope I didn't recognize. The return address belonged to a law office in downtown Chicago. My stomach tightened immediately. Inside was a letter dated 8 months earlier. I read it twice before the words fully sank in. The law firm had attempted to contact me regarding amendments to a family trust. But I had never seen the letter before. At the bottom of the page was a note: no response received from primary beneficiary. Primary beneficiary. Me. My hands grew cold. Someone had intercepted the letter before it reached me. And suddenly, everything began connecting together with terrifying clarity. The missing paperwork. The hidden property. The family group chat. The financial conversations. Even the children believing I chose to stay away. This wasn't random manipulation anymore. This was systematic. Careful. Layered over years. I quickly searched the rest of the lockbox and found another surprise. Walter's original trust documents. I opened the folder carefully. Inside, highlighted in blue ink, was a clause I barely remembered. If I became medically or financially dependent, control of certain family assets could temporarily transfer to Ethan as acting trustee. Not Vanessa. Ethan. But if Ethan signed shared financial authority documents with his spouse. My breathing slowed. Vanessa wouldn't need ownership. She only needed access. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes briefly. For years, I had mistaken politeness for loyalty. Meanwhile, my daughter-in-law had quietly inserted herself into every corner of our family's finances. And Ethan? I still wasn't sure whether he was blind. Or simply too trusting to notice what was happening beside him. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from Ethan. This one was shorter. Mom, Vanessa says you've been looking into private records. What's going on? I stared at the screen for a long moment. Interesting. I had visited the county office less than 24 hours ago. Which meant Vanessa was already monitoring the situation. And suddenly, for the first time since Thanksgiving, I smiled. I didn't answer Ethan's text right away. Instead, I made myself oatmeal and sat quietly at the kitchen table while snow melted slowly against the outside railing of my apartment balcony. Vanessa knew I had visited the county office. That meant one of two things. Either she had alerts attached to the property records, or someone inside Ethan's business circle was reporting back to her. Neither possibility made me feel better. By noon, my phone rang again. This time, it was Ethan directly. I answered after the fourth ring. Mom, he said immediately, sounding exhausted, what's happening? I looked out the window before answering. What do you think is happening? Silence. Then a sigh. Vanessa says you're upset about the lake house paperwork. Paperwork again. Interesting. Not once had he asked why I never received the property. Not once had he questioned how his own mother could supposedly own a lake house she had never visited. That told me something important. Vanessa had been controlling the narrative for a long time. I went downtown yesterday, I said calmly. Another silence. Then his voice changed slightly. You what? I saw the property records, Ethan. The line became very quiet. For a moment, all I could hear was distant movement on his side of the call. A car door shutting. Wind. Traffic somewhere nearby. Finally, he spoke carefully. Mom. Vanessa handles a lot of our legal stuff. Maybe there was confusion about the trust structure. Trust structure. He sounded like a man repeating phrases someone else had prepared for him. I closed my eyes briefly. Did you ever personally see me receive that house? No answer. Did you ever ask why I was still renting a tiny apartment 30 miles outside the city? His breathing changed. That was the first crack. I thought, he began slowly. I thought you wanted independence. There it was. The version of me Vanessa had created for him. Proud. Private. Distant. A woman choosing isolation instead of being pushed toward it. I rested my hand against the warm coffee mug beside me. "Ethan," I said quietly, "when was the last time you visited my apartment?" Silence again. Longer this time. Then finally, "I've been busy." I almost smiled. Because suddenly I realized something tragic. My son truly didn't know how I had been living. He didn't know about the broken heater last winter. The leaking ceiling above my bathroom. The groceries I sometimes put back at checkout. Vanessa had built an entirely separate reality around him. And he had accepted it because believing it was easier. Then Ethan lowered his voice. "Mom. Vanessa's saying you may have signed temporary management authorization last spring." My grip tightened slightly around the mug. So there it was. Finally spoken out loud. Not confusion. Not misunderstanding. Control. And the moment my son admitted it, I knew this situation was about to become much bigger than a hidden lake house. After my call with Ethan ended, I finally did something I should have done months earlier. I called a lawyer. Not a flashy downtown attorney with television commercials and giant billboards. Just a quiet estate lawyer Claire recommended years ago after Walter passed away. His office sat above a small insurance agency in Naperville. Beige carpet. Coffee stains on old magazines. The kind of place people overlook because nothing about it appears impressive. But sometimes quiet people notice the most. His name was Daniel Mercer. Mid-60s. Calm voice. Sharp eyes. I handed him the folders from my lockbox along with copies of the county property records. He spent nearly 20 minutes reading without speaking. That silence made me nervous. Finally, he removed his glasses. "Mrs. Carter," he said carefully, "did you knowingly sign any shared financial authority documents?" "I don't think so." His expression tightened slightly. "That's not the same as no." I looked down at my hands. Then I told him everything. The brunch paperwork. The missing pages. The trust documents. The lake house. The family group chat. Daniel listened quietly the entire time. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands together. "I believe your daughter-in-law may have positioned herself as an intermediary over multiple family assets," he said. Intermediary. Such a clean word for something that suddenly felt ugly. "Did she steal from me?" I asked softly. He paused. "Legally? I can't say that yet." Yet. That word mattered. Daniel turned one of the papers toward me and pointed at a signature line. "This authorization appears incomplete," he explained. "Your initials are present on some pages, but not others." I frowned. "That means what?" "It means if authority was expanded beyond what you knowingly approved," he paused carefully, "there could be serious problems." For the first time since Thanksgiving, I felt something shift inside me. Not fear. Control. Because suddenly I understood something important. Vanessa had counted on confusion. Age. Trust. Isolation. What she never expected was documentation. Walter always kept records. Every receipt. Every account. Every amendment. Daniel continued reviewing the trust paperwork while I sat quietly across from him listening to the ticking wall clock. Then he stopped suddenly. "That's interesting." My stomach tightened. "What?" He slid another document toward me. "This amendment from 3 years ago specifically protects your residential rights and independent financial access unless medically declared incompetent." I stared at the sentence. Medically declared incompetent. Suddenly, dozens of Vanessa's comments came rushing back. "You seem forgetful lately. You should let us simplify things for you. Managing property alone at your age can be overwhelming." I felt cold all over. Not because of what she had done. Because of where this might have been heading. Daniel looked at me steadily. Mrs. Carter. I strongly suggest you do not sign anything else your family gives you until we fully understand the situation. Family. The word sounded different now. Smaller somehow. More dangerous. Then Daniel asked the question I had quietly feared this entire time. Does your son know any of this? I didn't answer Daniel's question immediately. Does your son know any of this? I looked out the window of his office while cars moved slowly through slushy afternoon traffic below. Christmas decorations hung from the streetlights already, even though Thanksgiving had only passed a few days earlier. Everything outside looked normal. Meanwhile, my entire understanding of my family had cracked open in less than a week. Finally, I spoke. I think my son knows pieces, I said quietly. But I don't think he understands the full picture. Daniel nodded slowly. That may matter later. Later. Another heavy word. Before I left, Daniel made copies of every document and asked me to forward any emails or messages related to financial discussions with Vanessa. Then he said something that stayed with me the entire drive home. Mrs. Carter, manipulation inside families often succeeds because good people avoid uncomfortable questions. Good people. I thought about Ethan the entire evening. About the little boy who used to leave dandelions on my kitchen counter. The teenager who worked double shifts after Walter lost his job during the recession. The young man who cried harder than anyone at his father's funeral. That son would never intentionally hurt me. But the wealthy businessman he had become? I wasn't as certain anymore. Money changes the speed of life. People stop noticing details when someone else handles everything for them. And Vanessa had been handling everything for years. Around 8 that night, my phone buzzed again. A text from Ethan. Can we talk in person tomorrow? Alone. I stared at the message for a long moment. Alone. Interesting. No, we. No, Vanessa. Just him. I agreed to meet him at a small breakfast diner halfway between my apartment and his office the next morning. I arrived early. The diner smelled like coffee, bacon, and maple syrup. Elderly couples sat in booths near the windows while waitresses carried plates stacked with pancakes and hash browns. Ordinary life. Comforting life. I wrapped both hands around my coffee cup while waiting for my son. When Ethan finally walked through the door, he looked exhausted. No designer coat. No polished smile. Just dark circles under his eyes and tension across his face. For a moment, he looked like my little boy again. He sat across from me quietly. Then he reached into his leather briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. I started checking things after our phone call, he admitted. My pulse slowed. Ethan opened the folder carefully. Inside were printed bank transfers, trust documents, property tax records, email chains. And then he said the sentence I never expected to hear. Mom. I think Vanessa lied to both of us. The waitress arrived with coffee refills at that exact moment. Neither of us touched them. Because sitting there inside that quiet little diner, my son was finally beginning to understand how much had been stolen from our family. Ethan and I sat in that diner for nearly 3 hours. At some point, the lunch crowd replaced the breakfast crowd. Coffee cups came and went. Snow continued falling outside the windows while Christmas music played softly through old ceiling speakers. And little by little, my son finally saw the truth. Not all at once. Truth inside families rarely arrives that way. It comes through details. Missing emails. Redirected paperwork. Signatures buried inside stacks of documents. Quiet lies repeated for years until they begin sounding normal. Ethan looked physically sick as he reviewed the records Daniel had helped organize. Vanessa had rerouted communication from the trust. Intercepted legal notices. Positioned herself as financial manager over properties she never legally owned. And somewhere along the way, she had slowly convinced everyone, including my own grandchildren, that distance from me was my choice. "I don't understand why," Ethan whispered at one point. I looked at him carefully across the diner table. But deep down, I think I already knew. Control rarely begins with hatred. Sometimes it begins with convenience. Then comfort. Then power. A week later, Ethan filed emergency motions through Daniel's office to freeze further trust modifications until a full legal review could be completed. Vanessa moved into a luxury condo downtown shortly after. Quietly. No screaming. No dramatic confrontation. Just silence. The kind that follows when someone realizes the story they built can no longer survive paperwork. People often ask if I hated her afterward. No. Hate requires energy. And at my age, peace matters more. By Christmas, something unexpected happened. Ethan started visiting my apartment again. Not with expensive gifts. Not with guilt-driven apologies. Just small things. Replacing the broken kitchen light. Fixing the heater properly. Taking me grocery shopping on Sundays like Walter used to. The first time my granddaughter Sophie visited after everything came out, she hugged me so tightly I nearly cried. "Dad said you never stopped loving us," she whispered. Never. Not for 1 second. A few months later, Ethan drove me to Wisconsin for the first time. The lake house sat exactly where the records said it would. Tall pine trees. Frozen water stretching beyond the dock. Snow covering the roof in soft white layers. Beautiful. Quiet. Peaceful. Ethan unlocked the front door slowly. "I bought this for you," he said softly. "I should have made sure you actually got it." I walked through the house carefully while afternoon sunlight reflected across the frozen lake outside the windows. Then I noticed something sitting beside the fireplace. An old framed photograph of Walter and me from 30 years ago. I smiled before I could stop myself. Because after everything that happened, I finally understood something important. The real betrayal was never the missing house. It was being made to feel invisible inside my own family. And the real victory was no longer allowing anyone to decide my worth for me again. If you stayed with me until the end, thank you. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place?